you. Good morning. Thank you so much, Lisa, for that great introduction, and thanks to Mediapost for this great event. Excited to be here, not at all nervous to be the first speaker for this summit. So as Lisa said, my name is Josie Warren. I'm the senior content producer at Sleep Number, and so I'm here today to share with you a little bit about how we at Sleep Number are really taking branded storytelling along with our partnership with the NFL to break through to our consumers. And it's all about the power of story. We'll learn more about this young man in just a bit. Is it the... I did it. Excellent. So I've been with Sleep Number for about 5 years. I manage all of our digital video and photography production inside of our marketing department. My background is in broadcast television production. And so Sleep Number manufactures and retails the Sleep Number 360 smart bed. And so our primary differentiator, the Sleep Number bed, is that it's fully adjustable on both sides for your ideal firmness and comfort and support, and that's your Sleep Number setting, -40. And so also the smart bed, automatically senses your movements and adjusts throughout the night to keep you comfortable. And additionally, as from a data perspective, there's Sleep IQ technology that's built into every one of our beds, and that shows you how well you're sleeping. You get a report in the app every morning. It's tracking your breathing, your heart rate, and your movement to give you your Sleep IQ score. I average about a 78. One time my husband got 100 out of 100. I'm still mad about that. So, as Lisa mentioned, Sleep Number is the official sleep and wellness partner of the NFL. And we have been partnered with them since early 2018, so we're in our second season currently with the league. And so this is both a marketing partnership as well as a sleep and wellness partnership. You know, every active NFL player through this sponsorship is offered the chance to get their own smart bed. And we have over 1,900 players currently on Sleep Number beds. And then we also work with athletic trainers and teams to kind of teach them the importance of sleep. And so that's why the NFL for us, that's why Sleep Number works for the NFL, right? Sleep, we really do believe sleep is key to peak performance. Sleep is key to recovery. Sleep is key to kind of having your best day every day, whether you're someone like me or a professional athlete. And especially the NFL, that's the definition of peak performance. You know, you have people who make their livings doing really athletic, really hard things on a day-to-day basis. And they can learn, you know, the athletes on our beds can learn a lot of real and actionable data through the Sleep IQ platform to see how their sleep is impacting their on-field performance, how what they're doing during the day might be impacting how they're sleeping at night. And then from a marketing perspective, you know, it's not just about putting the NFL shield on a bunch of materials and calling it a day, right? So we do use assets in our advertising. We also participate in tentpole events, things like the Super Bowl or the NFL Draft, where there are big consumer-facing activations. You know, we're working on site there. But the biggest piece of this partnership is really our branded content and our storytelling. So we're doing both digital and traditional broadcast television content with a variety of current and retired players. This season, if you've been watching the NFL, you've probably seen Dallas Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott in our TV campaign. Last season, we featured Kirk Cousins, Skull Vikings. Anyone? Just me? Okay. They had a good game yesterday. It was awesome. And we also do a lot of content series on our digital platforms. And that's both content, you know, my team is producing internally as well as content we're creating with third-party media partners who are helping us distribute. And so that's everyone from Hall of Famers like John Randall, Tony Gonzalez, current players like Jason Witten, Travis Kelce, and Harrison Smith. And really what we're trying to do with this content is really work with players who either truly understand how important sleep is to their performance or who are really eager to learn more about it. You know, we want people who can tell that story naturally because that's what we want everyone to know about, that sleep isn't just sleep, your bed's not just a bed. You know, what you do those 8 hours a night really impacts the remaining hours of your day. So this year, for the NFL Draft, we worked with Josh Jacobs. So Josh, at the time, was a running back out of the University of Alabama. And he went into the draft as one of the top prospects at that position. He ended up being drafted 24th by the Oakland Raiders. He's having a great rookie season. If he's on your fantasy football team, you're doing awesome. And so this was our first time where we created content about a player going into the NFL. You know, we'd done a lot with existing players, you know, people who are already in the league. This is our first time following someone who's going into the draft. And it was also our first time where we were doing a multi-part content series in real time. So we created a 3-part content series with Josh over the course of 2 months leading up to the NFL Draft. And before we go any further, I'd love for you to meet Josh and take a look at the first episode. Oh, what do I have to push now?
the key in the end is to be legendary. To go down as one of the greatest to ever do it. I'm Josh Jacobs. I'm a running back, and I'm hoping to go pro. I was in 3rd grade when I officially started playing football. My father put me in it because I used to just run around a lot. I officially started playing running back like 5th grade, and yeah, it's been history ever since. In high school, dude in Texas named Coach G. Smith hit me up, and he wanted to help me get recruited. And so he said, make a Twitter and post your highlights on there. Next day, college coaches hitting me up. I was probably getting like 10 calls a day. My signing day, it was a crazy day. And as I was sitting there trying to decide what I wanted to do, I got a phone call from Coach Burns, and he's a running back coach at Alabama. And he basically was just telling me, like, we have a spot open, we want you. And the rest is history. It was surreal. Honestly, it didn't feel real at all. Like, I never had a chance to really just sit back and think about it until I left. And then just going back and how everything played out, I wouldn't change it for nothing. Football was definitely an outlet for me. It was a place where it let me shine and also express my feelings and my talent. So I could definitely say football saved me in a way. And yeah, football is a huge part of my life. Growing up, I've stayed in cars. I've stayed in hotels and motels and stuff like that. Even throughout high school, I didn't have a bed. When I went to college and I finally got a bed, I didn't sleep on the bed just because I wasn't comfortable. Good sleep helps you a lot because it lets you refocus. It also helps with your body a lot, and just your mental state, especially for when you have long days, when you have to do a lot of mental stuff. So getting a lot of sleep is key. Normally I wake up and I'll be like tossing and turning in the night, but I haven't really been doing any of that lately. It's definitely going to give me a huge edge. Just being on a bed like that where it's real comfortable and adjusted to you and it fits your style, it's definitely huge for me. The combine is the beginning stages of going to the NFL. It's definitely the start of something huge. Yeah, it's definitely a dream. It's definitely a dream. The main thing that's going through my mind is to not think so much. I mean, you could easily overthink, let it stress you out. So I'm just trying to go with the flow right now. I definitely feel confident and ready, just because I know how I've prepared to get to this point. And at this point, it's just about showcasing my talent.
There we go. All right, great. Oh, thank you. I love watching that. It really makes me happy. So first of all, why do we decide to work with Josh Jacobs? I think, as you can see, he's got an incredibly compelling story. And it also has a really natural tie to sleep. When you think about how the fact he used to sleep in his dad's car, he used to sleep in motels and hotels in high school, still performing at a pretty high level, gets recruited to Alabama, performs really well there, declares for the draft. He did all that on not great sleep. So imagine how well he's doing now, with proven quality sleep. And I think the other thing about Josh we really liked is that he was really eager to learn and really eager to kind of get any edge he could to be at his best when he went into the NFL. He's a really motivated young man, very driven, and was really wanted to learn more about how sleep could help him and be at his best, not just in his preparation for the NFL Combine and for Alabama Pro Day, but also for being in the NFL and being in the league. So as I mentioned, we produced 3 episodes with Josh. The first one you just saw, we started airing that on our digital channels. We hosted it on YouTube and created a lot of content to drive people to a landing page where these videos lived. So that aired in early April 2019. The second episode, we went to Josh's home in Alabama, kind of covered off on his training routine, getting ready for the NFL Combine. That came out April 17th, so just a few weeks later. And the last episode was Alabama Pro Day, which is another opportunity just for Alabama players to perform for NFL coaches and scouts, And also the draft itself, we talked to Josh right before the draft and also immediately after the draft. That was about 12:30 at night in the JW Marriott in Nashville after he was drafted. And that one came out on May 3rd, so about a week after the NFL draft. So we started working with Josh. We filmed with him at the NFL Combine in late February of 2019. We filmed with him at his home in Alabama, and then, like I said, in Nashville before and after the draft. So out of this, we had kind of a limited time to film with him, but out of this content, we created 3 full-length episodes, so all around the length of what you just saw, and then 19 other short forms and trailers to kind of drive people to go watch this long-form content and really engage with the brand. So out of those 19 pieces, some of that was content for our channels, our Facebook, our Instagram, our Twitter, 15 and 6-second versions, all the squares and verticals and landscapes, every format you can imagine. We also created trailers for Josh himself to share on his channel. So what that was, it was basically the same shots as our Sleep Number trailers, but different end cards, things that made it sound like it came from Josh, copy and text. It used a lot of emojis. He liked a lot of emojis in his social media, so we kind of leaned into that. We also created content for some other player partners to share on our behalf to drive people to go watch. And then the third piece of this is kind of content and licensing partners. We had about 5 hours total on camera time with Josh. And there's just things I'm not able to do as a producer, things I'm not able to recreate or capture myself. So we really needed content partnerships and the ability to license additional footage to pull this off. The biggest partnership we entered into for this was with the University of Alabama. We did that specifically for this content series. We were able to use a team name and team marks, which is really important because if I couldn't say Josh was from the University of Alabama, I don't have much of a story. We were able to license game day footage of Josh in action, which is really important because I'm pretty good at my job. I can't recreate a football game. I can't recreate that game day environment. And also, my crew, that's not what they're best at, is capturing that type of content. So the ability to license that existing footage was absolutely a game changing for us, to be able to tell that story, show Josh as a football player, show his talent, and show his skill. We also partnered with the internal production team at Alabama. They captured content for us at Alabama Pro Day. Since it's a smaller event, they didn't want a lot of crews, so we were able to work with their production team to capture that for us. We also worked with NFL Films, or kind of the holder of all things game footage, as well as things like the Combine and the draft. They have all that content for us. We licensed footage from the draft. And then Josh himself provided some additional content, family photos. He took a few videos of himself during this time period where he's kind of talking to the camera, telling us where he was at and what he was doing. Since we weren't able to be with him consistently, I'm in Minneapolis, he's in Tuscaloosa. I can't be there every day. We use a lot of stock footage. We also licensed high school imagery of Josh from the Tulsa newspaper. You really cast a wide net to be able to create this kind of story. So Okay, so how do we get this all done, right? So as I mentioned, we're on a really tight timeline with this project. We started producing content, filming with Josh in late February, and everything was done in late April. And we're shooting and editing and releasing episodes as we went. So the biggest thing, and I learned this in film school and I've learned this throughout my career, is that when you're creating content like this, it's all about planning. And you plan one thing and you plan again and you plan some more and you plan for everything that's going to go wrong because it's going to go wrong. Something's going to happen that you weren't expecting. And so really, it's that pre-production planning. And as part of that, when we think about from a marketing perspective, in order to kind of keep everyone, all my internal partners on track with what we're doing and why, once we'd aligned to this multi-part series concept, we're going to tell this ongoing story. We're going to follow him throughout these concepts. I wrote a detailed episode outline, like 1 to 2 pages, for every episode in the series. Here's the story we're going to tell. Here's the type of footage we're going to capture. Here's what you're going to see. Here's how we want you to feel. So we're really on the same page. So then, when we're going back and looking at rough cuts, we can say, okay, remember, we started here. We're now here. Here's what we aligned to, and here's what we agree on. And then part of that pre-production planning also included sharing examples of shooting style, inspiration, content. This is a really personal story. It's a really intimate story. So we shot the interviews, kind of framed Josh up in the center of the frame. He's looking right at you. That was directly inspired from the Netflix Fire Festival documentary that was out earlier this year. My editor and I were both obsessed with it. But it's a really great way to kind of get to know him. Like he's looking right at you and telling you kind of a really heartfelt story. Because we wanted people to go on an emotional journey with Josh, to get invested. to come back and watch the next episode and wonder what happened next. And we really wanted people to go on that and be a part of it. So then the other piece of this too is, we have a lot of stakeholders in this type of content, not only my internal team, but also partners like the NFL, University of Alabama, Josh Jacobs. It's a lot to keep track of. It's a lot of people who get to kind of put their oar in and say yes or no. So in order to mitigate that as much as possible internally, we really set up meetings for reviewing every single one of these. You're in or you're out, your feedback's in or out at that time, and making sure we're all aligned before taking the next step forward. So that's the next thing I want to talk about, is really managing this input cycle for anyone who either creates content or has a hand in shepherding content through the process at their organization. You can get in the weeds really fast on input and feedback. And so one thing, at Sleep Number, we're really working hard on recently is changing how we talk about those touch points. It's not a review. It's not an approval. We're not trying to get it past just one gatekeeper, right? We're saying input, alignment, feedback, so it feels more like a team effort. And then clearly defining who owns what piece of that is also really important. So you can see how we kind of split it up for us. So me on the creative team, I'm owning that overall story, the look and feel, why we made certain creative choices, right? My NFL partnerships team, they're watching for that overall strategy. Are we hitting the mark? Are we doing what we said we're going to do with this NFL partnership, with this series? Is that coming through? My channel partners, in social and web and digital, they're watching for, is this right for my channel? Are we meeting best practices? Are we, works for sound on and sound off? Is it doing all these things we need it to do to get people to click and go to the next step? And then legal always is a part of this conversation. For us, legal is watching for things, obviously, like copyrights and trademarks. They're also watching for brand claims. Even in this type of documentary content, I can't have, Josh say something about the bed that's not true, that the bed does something that it doesn't do. We still have to be able to prove all those claims we're saying about the bed. So legal helps us out a lot with that. And I think it's challenging with video content, right? Because we all watch stuff. We all watch TV shows and movies, and everyone has really personal likes and dislikes. So when you talk about input as this is what you're responsible for, and kind of keep people in that lane as much as you can, you really fine-tune the input, and you don't get in the weeds on personal likes and dislikes. And for me, the biggest part of that, too, is remembering who the person you actually want to have watch this wants. Who is that core audience? Who is that person who's going to see it and interact with it? Because then you end up with something that core audience wants to watch, not what 3 people in marketing like best. And I think that's a holdover, definitely from my broadcast days, thinking about who's the viewer? What does the viewer want to hear? What do they want to see? Not necessarily what I want to see. I might not be the core audience for this. So I think that goes a long way when you're creating content. So as far as results, it was really exciting for us. This was one of the most successful NFL content partnerships, hosted by sleepnumber.com to date. So social engagements, we're 119% to our goal, 3.5 million social